What is philosophical about profit? In this video, we're going to briefly define profit and then show several ways in which we can get philosophical about the concept. So first, let's think about profit, and let's think about it as, in general, the surplus of value that's generated when revenue exceeds costs. Let's think about these words again. Your revenue is going to be how much money you made. But that's not your profit, because you need to take the amount that you made and deduct that from your cost. Cost is not exactly one thing. There's how much money you had to spend to get that business going. There's how much time, energy, and effort you had to put into it. There's also the machinery that you might have needed and other things. How much you profit is a total amount of value that's the result of taking all of what it cost you and deducting that from all that you made. Let's get philosophical about that leftover value. Think about a corporation. They get taxed on their profits in a totally different way than a person gets taxed. Who gets to decide how corporations are taxed versus how people are taxed? And what about when there's the potential to generate revenue that far exceeds the cost of doing business, where that revenue requires that we are disregarding the welfare of human beings or disregarding the environmental impact, or both? And so when you're thinking about profit, it comes into play when you're thinking about what we owe communities or people, ecosystems, or environments. Maybe it's a oxymoron to say something like business ethics, because for you to have a great business, you might be thinking you need a ton of profit. Don't we judge businesses based on their profit? When you're talking about ethics, aren't you saying something like do well by others, do well by the environment, treat others with respect? But what if that's not possible if you want to have revenue and make money in order to have profit? So if businesses are trying to make as much money as possible, then how could they be ethical and love on the people and the communities and the ecosystems and the environment? Is it possible? A philosophical question about profit is, what are the people who profit obligated to do with that profit? Should there be some percentage of the profit that has to be reallocated into the community, for example? You might have heard of a nonprofit organization. What exactly does that mean? Two totally different views from philosophical thinkers on profit: Karl Marx and Adam Smith. Karl Marx thought that profit necessarily meant something went wrong. Like, how could you make a profit unless you were exploiting somebody's labor? Adam Smith, on the other hand, thought that why would you make something unless you could have a profit? He thought of profit as something like a natural incentive in market, in economy. This is just the tip of the iceberg of getting philosophical about the concept of profit.